Hi guys, this is video number 3 on the book of Revelation. This book is amazing, right? And I've looked online. There are some people that have done research on it. I did not go through all of them because it would be overwhelming and very time consuming. So instead what I'm going to do, which would be a lot easier for the entire Bible, is talk about universal laws, universal construction. It makes it so much easier to comprehend the layers of this book. This whole presentation isn't so much about the book of Revelation and the end times, which we are technically in, but it's more about comprehending how your life works, why the game of love is so important, why you can sort of get off your own back and stop worrying about some judgmental God who's going to come down and, judge you or say something horrible to you, because none of that is true whatsoever. And the entire Bible itself, as well as I said before, our music catalog and the earth and life and the universe, is set up not just so precisely as a reflection of itself, but as a reminder, a constant reminder. And I say reminder in the sense that, like, we have books, we have music, we have man-made things, objects and literature, as well as buildings, to remind you that it's all divinely ordered, and we are here to have the opportunity to love one another, to see each other, to talk to each other, to communicate with each other, to appreciate each other, as well as nature and animals, because Earth herself is the hostess. We always hear about the Lord of hosts. Host. You're at a banquet, a party. Welcome to my table. Do this in memory of me means remember your host, the living light, which, if you've studied some what are sometimes called New Age, or the labels get so messed up, but the living light, the resonant frequency of the light reflecting to itself its own self-love, of which you are an eternal part. So any tool you choose to use, you can honor that and appreciate that, whether it's a piece of wood, a living tree, or a tree that someone's chopped down to use as a tool, that it is serving you and you are one with it. And that frequency of love is the source and reflection of all things. And we're at a point now in our technology that we can find more and more clues to that. For example, we hear about scientists studying quantum physics, or molecules, atoms. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Because basically you're dealing with an intelligence that's beyond your intelligence, or beyond your machinery at this time. So you're chasing down this dream, this particle that is technically speaking smarter than you, or as smart as you don't know that you are, and it's always going to shift. So you're going to observe it in this position, and it's going to, let you observe it here, but it's going to shift. Why? Why would it do that? Because infinity is uncontrollable. Look up infinity. It's infinite. So if you need to connect with it in this position, it'll let you, but it's going to move over here. Why? Why would it do that? Because it's constantly in motion, constantly expanding. The universe is constantly moving, but what's really expanding is your perception. So you're here, and then you're here, and then you're here, and then that moment, your moments are shifting, so the particle is shifting too. So when you're observing this particle in this position, you've just had a passage of a shift. You can't hold that infinitely. So you feel like it shifted, but actually you shifted. Make sense? It makes perfect sense. And it's actually comical because you're chasing the past almost, but you're actually observing a present moment in a perfect timing for a split second, and then it shifts. That's what allows the whole thing to be perceived, is because if light isn't waving, you can't see it. It's stationary. So it's all kind of funny when you look at science. Not funny in the sense that, like, we should stop, but funny in the sense that once you accept the fact that, like, you're chasing infinite moments in limited moments, it's kind of crazy. So back to the book of Revelation and language. Let's start with what we've all heard on, it's really big on Facebook right now, the little 15-year-old boy who was able to postulate and prove that there is a third city based on the triangulation of Orion in the sky, that technically speaking, he calculated that there should be this third city, and boom, there it is. That is a perfect modern day, very current event example of it's all lined up. So Earth is floating through space as a perfect reflection of what's going on out here, but not just out there. Inside of you, you are also a microcosm of the macrocosm. Pretty cool. That's how you can line it all up, and that's how he can find it, is because it's all programmed and keyed to the same, what people call God particle. I don't have a better term right now. We could come up with one though. We could make up whatever you want. So that same singularity, ooh, that's a good word, is consistently communicating with itself, but in an infinitely expanding, think of pi. So it's always going to come back to it. So when you hear U2 songs and they're singing about that one girl, or you hear this music and it's singing about that one love relationship, and this thing, it's still the same relationship. So now we go into, yes, I will get back to Revelation, but this stuff is all feeding into it. Now we go into what is 100100000. What is that? Right? We're talking about a singularity standing on itself. Oh, probably shouldn't have erased that, but too bad. But yet expanding to observe itself. But we have all of these reminders throughout all of ancient history, what we call ancient history, but it's still going on simultaneously because you can only observe where you are. Boom, 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 boom. Pretty cool? So you're in this space and time. Hello, Bono. I was born to be with it, whatever. So you have this one singularity and a single point in time having infinite pi observations and communications across all possible infinite, it just goes on forever. So you're always going to find the same thing. That should be reassuring. That should bring you right down to not just wow, but wow. It's all the same thing. It's all good, and I'm in it, and I'm in on it, and I'm part of it. So it chills you out, but it also makes you amazingly, or amazed, or like excited. I hope excited. So it's always going to feed on the same thing. So when you get into the Bible and you get into the book of Revelation, number one, let's start with basics. It all comes down to love. Why would it come down to love? Why wouldn't it come down to rules and morality and good and bad? That's all duality. That's all saying there's this side, but there's not this side. That this side's better than that side. It can't be like that. You can shift way over here and say being a stripper at a strip bar is bad. You can say that, and that's fine for you. For you. But you can't condemn the people who do it. You can't condemn other people's experiences. So you can say strippers are bad, nuns are good. Well, you're gonna be out of whack. All respect to all congregations of ladies on both sides of the spectrum, because this woman's choice of experience has nothing to do with you. This woman's choice of experience has nothing to do with you. It's her choice. So how she's choosing to experience her life may bring her ecstatic joy on both sides of the spectrum. And that may be her path. So you can't really judge because you don't know. You just don't know. So when Jesus says, go and sin no more to the woman they're going to stone, let those of you without sin cast the first stone, that's kind of what he's referring to there. Is it like you just don't know? Who knows what the nun's learning about herself over here? She may be learning like Sister Faustina with the Divine Mercy. Everyone thought she was nuts, but she ended up being the secretary for Christ and set us up for what we're looking at now, because that Divine Mercy, those rays coming out of Jesus' heart, is a symbol of your body and him and the love of the universe reminding itself that you're in there. You're in there. So you're inside of him and he's carrying you and he's promised it. So we'll see sometimes in the Catholic Church, Jesus holding the earth in his left hand with those bands, those marriage bands, the marriage of heaven and earth. But you got both GPS things, because it's all key to the whole universe to tell you where you're at. It's like a map. It's a divine map. And we look at the cross isn't just, you gotta get past the crucifixion when you're looking at the cross. It's like sticking that Google map thing there. You are here. All right. So wherever you are, you're walking with him. You're walking with him. You're on this path. And those gold bands of the marriage of heaven and earth, your host and your hostess. Okay. Book of Revelation, the bride. The bride. What's the bride? You're looking at a male and a female aspect of creation, having a relationship, a love affair with itself. So everyone always returns to their center. So even though someone may be a nun by vocation, they are still a part of creation. Even though someone may work in a strip bar, she's still a part of creation. So whatever relationship these two people have with each other, there's still an aspect of God. Pretty cool, right? They're both serving life and experience on some level. That's such a tricky thing. I'm going to move right past that because people can be so hot and cold about that. But you've got to understand that where you're standing over here, when you're observing both of them, you have to make a choice. Am I going to watch what someone else is doing and make a judgment? Or am I going to bless and love them unconditionally wherever they are in their path? That's where Jesus is a great teacher, where he comes and let those of you without sin cast the first stone. This is so good. Let those of you without sin cast the first stone. Wow. In the book of Revelation, we have the horror, mystery, Babylon, right? Sitting on the beast. And we talk about stones being cast. And Jesus is a stone's cast from his friends when he's praying. And there's the angel that appears to him. Do you see how these stories start to fold in on each other? Is saying the same thing. So a stone's cast. They cast a millstone out. Okay? And the barge will be heard and you no more and all of that stuff. But that's all right, because now they heard on the outside, not on the inside. I hope that registers. Because you cast it into the abyss so that you have a foundation, a solid foundation. The stone that the builders rejected has become the cornerstone. Cornerstone, corner. A pyramid has corners. You have the eye of God. Yeah, I'm all over the place, aren't I? Okay, so it's not very logical. It's not meant to be logical. It's meant to constantly bounce you back in to that. You can go out as far as you want on any trajectory, albeit music. Bono, I'm leaning on you because your catalog's huge and you don't care. You go out on any U2 song, any U2 trajectory, and it's going to bring you back in. Goo Goo Dolls. You can go on any Goo Goo Doll trajectory and you've still got that man and that woman. Baby's black balloon makes her fly. I almost fell into the hole in your life. It's beautiful. Always bringing you back in to this an infinite love affair. Using what? Using words, using sound. Words are sound. And using the double-edged sword. It's going to mean she's good, she's bad. She's bad, she's good. It's going to mean whatever you decide while you're observing it that it means to you. So when you hear judge not lest thou be judged, what that message is saying, like if you're going to put a really deep, heavy duty meaning on there, you have to carry that stone. Carry that cross and all that shame. All my sins, only to be with you. Only to be with you. Still haven't found what I'm looking for. I'm not going to go there. So, yeah, I will go there. Looking for, what are you looking for? Well, you're looking for fun. You're looking for love, but you're not really looking for a specific one-time thing. You're enjoying the journey around the earth, trusting the GPS system of your own body, your own heartbeat, star mapping, science can use whatever tools it wants, whatever. But realizing all of those tools are a part of I'm going to say lower consciousness, but I don't mean it like, I don't mean it's lower as in not as good as, but a lower, more 3D system that we have agreed upon when we're on this earth to keep us on, agree on gravity. But gravity isn't even gravity. Gravity is, it is in a sense gravity, but it's actually just reflection. It's the same thing. It's the cross reflecting on the cross. So that's too much physics right now for this particle discussion in Revelation. So the stone the builders rejected is the earth. Why? Why would that be the earth? Because we reject the earth all day long. We tear it down. We take that living tree of life and we chop it down and we turn it into a house like it's a piece of shit. Like it has no consciousness and no feeling. That's the stone the builders have rejected, is the earth herself. But she's a living being, fueled by the sunlight, which is conscious and constantly watching over all of it. So when people freak out in Revelation and they're running for the hills and they want those mountains to fall on them, it's because they finally have come to realize, holy cow, there really is an all-seeing eye of God. There really is, and not in a mean judgmental way, there really is an awareness all around you of what you're doing, of who you are choosing to be in any moment in time. Now the good news is you can shift that, and that's where we get the divine mercy. When Jesus is teaching through Sister Faustina, we're going to ask for mercy, 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 mercy. We want to forgive ourselves and let that reboot, restart, reboot yourself button kick in. And you let all those old judgments go and allow yourself at any moment to become renewed, to be reborn, to be washed clean by the Spirit. All right? Jesus dipping his robe, his garment in the blood is, all the destruction we've done. You got to know that, you got to get off your own back and get off each other's backs and move beyond that. How does that play into Revelation? The Lamb itself is the living light. It never speaks. It stands up. It takes the scroll from the right hand. Jesus' right hand, he's holding the stars, all that living light. The dragon is also Jesus. He knocks the stars down to the earth with his tail, T-A-L-E. He knocks the light down to the earth so that we can see one another and see what we're doing. So we are conscious, not just conscious like the blind leading the blind thing, but we are able to get out ahead of it, to see in advance, to be aware of in advance of where we're going and what we're walking toward. That's what the light's for. So not just you can see where you're going, but also you can even appreciate more intrinsically, more deeply, more specifically. Talk about a microscope. That magnification, that magnificent magnification of get up close and personal with a flower with your iPhone and be like, whoa, look at that. Right? Get up close and personal with the ocean and the sun. So all of creation, two things happen. Not only can you see it and get up close and personal with it, but the speed of light is so slow. And everyone laughs like the speed of light is so fast. It's not that fast. Not compared to consciousness. The speed of light, that sunlight wave, is slowed down when you're here on Earth. In 3D, as we call it. Why? So that you have time. The dragon was pissed because he only had a short time. A lifetime is short, right? So we talk about eternal life and 1,000 years of peace. Because now that we're all waking up and no one's going to freak out, we have enough technology that we're not going to go running for the hills and ask them to follow us. The speed of light is slowed down. Or when you're traveling at the speed of light, it's slow enough that you can enjoy what? This is so cool. The inhaling and exhaling of the holy breath, what people call the Holy Spirit, which is living love, living light. So light. There's a Take That song. We're all just pushing along, trying to figure it out. Your anticipation slows you down. So that, just pushing along, you're just breathing in and out, trying to figure out what? The game of love. See, it's all very innocent, very cool. Everybody chill out. So that in breath and out breath, expansion and contraction that creates this infinite experience that you are having with your own relationship with the entire cosmos, because you're in here in your own heartbeat, having your own black hole. Your black hole, taking it all in. We wonder where does black hole stuff come? We're observing ourselves from this perspective out in space, from this perspective out in space. It collapses in on itself. So that you can what? Enjoy creation. What else is there to do? It exists. Love it. I could say or not, but why would I bother? Just love it. It's worth it. So you get to be on this solid foundation of your own reflection on every level, and have God gave his only son. God so loved the world. So we have a star who's kind enough to make sure that we can see where we're going on this beautiful earth with a wonderful magnetic navigation system. And Jesus is one of our great teachers, a Lord of light, a host. 4 directions. You got your 4 directions. When we talk about crucifying, it's symbolic. It's talking about not trusting this body to know what it's doing. That you're relying on your brain and your eyeballs to know the bigger picture, but the bigger picture is really, really big. Really big. So it's important to be able to close your eyes, blind faith, and appreciate your existence, and realize that like every single leaf of lettuce and strawberry and drop of water, and when you look at it from that perspective, we are so abundant, it's overwhelming. And when you look at it from the hoarding perspective of dollars are just meant to be used to help stuff shift faster. Stick them in your pocket and move stuff around. When you look at it from the perspective of appreciation and the little things of existence, then it's so abundant, it's wild. But when you look at it from the perspective of the stone that the builders rejected, the earth, then you can see why people started hoarding and wanting to have power over other people, have slaves and stuff. Moses wants his people to be freed and stuff like that. That's a whole nother conversation. Then you realize that, like, well, wait a minute. You're not going to stop the earth from producing. She's just fecund, one of my favorite words, with love of herself. And she's got backup. She's got the whole universe that is aware of her. Every master that has ever been here still exists. You might not be able to see them, but everyone who's been here knows how wonderful it is, and is guiding you, and is aware of you, and is conscious of you. You can study Abraham Hicks and get into that whole Esther Hicks being a perfect example of giving the light a voice. So when Jesus is talking, he's also someone who was able to consciously interpret the communications of a non-physical. Think of a star trying to communicate with you. How do you communicate if all you want to speak is English, but the star speaks in light? But you want to speak in English. Okay, so what do? You write stuff down. You make books. You leave it on the planet. So like the next person who comes doesn't fall back asleep and forget. You make Bono. You make musicians. You make music. You make parties. You make Mother Teresa. You make Sister Faustina. You make the Pope. You make all these constant reminders of like, wait a minute. And then the people who are afraid of that, let's not even talk about them. They just have a choice. There's nothing to be afraid of. I mean, they could be in any position in life and realize that like it is so much more fun to realize that no one's out to get you. Like maybe you're some powerful person, I don't know, you're a leader or something, that nobody really wants that role. Nobody really wants that responsibility. At best, we would volunteer to help them like run their country better, or have more fun, or be more efficient, which I think we're seeing with like Bono's cross party lines to try and help countries. I'm sorry, I talk about Bono all the time, but he's just this guy that was willing to like cross all these different variables and try to show that like we can really coexist here and still have enough. And yeah, you need to be wealthy, fine, go be wealthy, that's your thing. But not everybody even wants that. Some people just want to go garden. Some people want to go save the whales. Some people want to go work for Habitat for Humanity. Some people want to go make shoes. Hello, Tom Shoes, you rock. Some people want to, you know, work with special needs kids. Everybody came and wants to have the experience of contributing their piece of the puzzle, their perspective. So they have their perspective on this earth, and they're going to have something that calls them, their vocation that they want to do. And they might not do it for a lifetime. It might just be, you know, their college career, working for the One Campaign Project, or working for, I don't know, some whatever, being a banker, being in material handling, you know, people who sell forklifts. But shifting, that's their thing. So giving people the freedom to have access to not just the information, but the tools or the highway on this blessed planet that leads them to where they want to expand that area of existence. Which goes back to when you have, I don't know why this leads back to that, but apparently it does. Babylon, the mystery, she's not a whore. She's the earth who's like drunk and like overwhelmed. She's sitting on the dragon. She's sitting on Jesus, the snake, the being, the body. It's the body, you guys. It's so hard to make symbols that like stick, but she's this innocent woman. Think woman, think earth, think fecund, think fertile. All right. And what's she covered in? All this man-made stuff, right? That you can't eat, that doesn't serve you, that doesn't go on anywhere. It's like pearls and gold and, okay, granted that's like not man-made, but it's just like she's wasted and she's trashed, but she's holding this cup, right? Who takes that cup? Jesus did. That's the cup. And right after that, they move into the marriage. Pretty cool, right? So that's just another piece of revelation, and it's meant to be a symbol of the earth herself is like mystery. Babylon, the mystery, is like, she's just this chick, the earth, who's like supporting all of it. That's why it's a mystery. She also ties into the woman who, in chapter 12, runs and hides in the wilderness to a place that God had prepared for her. Well, when we talk about God, we're not going to go there right now. That book's too deep. It all ties back into the dragon and the woman, and the dragon as Jesus as well as God, because when she has the baby, the dragon is waiting to catch her child, her breath. It immediately gets carried up to the throne of God. Where's the throne of God when you're a mom? It's your heart. It's love, all right? So he catches her breath, takes her breath away, and prepares a place for her and goes to battle in heaven. What happens when you have a battle? You have a difference of opinion. So there's this pure, cosmic, unseeable, invisible heaven area where the dragon, who's now pissed off because he only has a short time, because he's in a man's, in a body, right, is battling with the saints, and now he's going to come to earth, and he's pissed at the woman, maybe because she's a chicken, but he has to go battle with, it doesn't say against, it says with those who keep the commandments and all that. So he's got to go take on all these opinions, all these different perspectives of how life is on earth and what it's all about. And she's hiding out because she's just like, all she did was create. And then everyone like makes up all these perspectives on how it should work. And that's a little bit overwhelming for her, clearly. And she ends up being on the back of the dragon, being carried by him, supported by him, you know, supported by him. The snake. Mary stands on the snake. She's being supported by him. And meanwhile, she's been like pillaged by people rejecting the natural stone. Whew, that was a lot, right? We can go deeper into that. So this video is a ton of information, I know, but you're starting to see how it all feeds in on itself. And it's all, whether you're looking at Egyptian, which we could, anybody wants to, it's really fun. You can look at Egyptian mythology, Mayan mythology, not mythology, but like symbols and stories and all that stuff, and see how it all comes back to perception interpretation, definitions, and using tools, albeit language or music or symbols, to communicate across vast reaches of the universe, so that when you are standing in your space and time, you remember who you are and who we are, and that you are a part of the cast, Stone's cast, of characters in a grand story of creation that is eternally unfolding and revealing itself to everyone with a purpose of love. A foundation of love, in fact. Or whatever you choose to see it as. But it's definitely bigger than some people thought. Alright, that is it for this one. We'll stop right there. But any questions or comments? John is in the spirit when he sees all this. Real quick, we'll go through that. John is in the spirit when he sees all this. He's like meditating. He's in that zero zone where he can see all these things happening simultaneously. Oh, this is good. Because go back to the book of Revelation, and every single verse almost starts with what? And. So it's happening simultaneously, but you can't tell someone a story that's happening simultaneously unless you roll it out. So you break the seal, you open the scroll, while that's happening, and 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 that's happening. Alpha and Omega. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was a little rushed, but fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it a little bit. And leave me some questions or comments below. We're still doing the love game on Twitter and Instagram, leaving love notes around town. Please leave some for your friends, family, blah, blah, blah. Anybody you want, at the grocery store, cars, garden centers, and hashtag them World Love Note on Twitter and Instagram. And you can follow us if you wish, World Love Note on Twitter. I think it's World_Love_Note. And then it's World Love Notes on Instagram.